Hey, this is Danielle from Banning Lane, and I am here with your Tuesdays in Your Pocket video. I'm first starting out by showing you this really fun inspiration piece. It's just full of color, and I was super inspired by that. Even though my spread ended up being mostly white, I still was really inspired by the colors of the inspiration piece. So I should start off by telling you that I am really behind on Project Life. My family has been sick, it seems like all winter long, mostly my daughter. It's her first year of preschool, so I think she's just getting introduced to a bunch of new germs that she wasn't typically introduced to in the past years. So I've fallen behind on Project Life. And so my goal going forward is to just keep things super simple and to not overthink my choices and to focus on the photos that tell the true story of our week. What was going on this week? What about that week do I want to remember? And those are the photos that I focus on. Now, I made a decision early on to use all white cardstock on this spread. I've never done that before, but then to use my stamps to spruce it up. So I picked out a bunch of different phrase stamps that went along with my stories. And because I definitely wanted to bring a little bit of color to this spread, because of that fabulous inspiration piece, I decided to pick out some rainbow colored stamping ink to use on each of the cards. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is get my title card taken care of, and I decided to go ahead and use the red ink. I'm just stamping it a little bit just to see how wet this ink pad is, and it's a little bit dry. My image doesn't come out perfectly crisp and clean, but that's okay. I actually prefer my stamps to look a little bit messy. I like them to, if I stamp on my project, I like it to look like it's a stamp. And so if it's not perfect, that doesn't bother me at all. But I just get my week on there, and then this is week 11, so I'm just gonna stamp that one a couple times, and then that is good to go. Now, that stamp set I got from Studio Calico. I believe it's by One Little Bird. I have another one that looks similar to that. It has the week and then the numbers and the days of the week and the months. But it's just a little bit different style, and I really like them too for my Project Life album. Now, the next phrase I'm going to use says out and about, and this came from the current Felicity Jane kit. Actually, I don't think it's the current one because I think the new one maybe has come out, but it was last month's. But anyway, it says out and about, and I used orange for that. For my next card, I use a stamp that says you plus me, and I'm just using some green ink. And I got this from a stamp set that came in a planner kit. I think that I actually pull it out here. Yeah, that came in a planner kit that I got from Studio Calico. It has a bunch of cute little phrases on there. And then this last one is also a Felicity Jane stamp from several months ago, but it says one day at a time, and I'm using this blue ink. This ink pad must be a little bit dry because this stamp did not come out very good. I know you can't totally tell from this video. I actually stamped it a couple times just because I thought, well, maybe I just didn't push hard enough or whatever the first time. So I really tried to make sure it was inked up, and I got the same results. But like I said, I'm not tremendously picky, and so I didn't worry about it. So once I got all of those phrase stamps sort of in place and got my stamps cleaned up and put back on their correct places, I made sure to make it a point to do that. I've learned the hard way of just leaving my stamps out on my desk. They get thrown away. So I got everything in place, and then I decided that I had to tackle this card that had the quote on it. Now, I got this quote from the inspiration piece, and I thought that the saying was perfect for this week because I was dealing with months of sick in my house. And it's sometimes important when you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed by anything in your life to remind yourself to count your rainbows, not your thunderstorms. Look for the good in your life. Don't focus on the bad. So I knew I definitely wanted to use that quote, and I just sized it down to fit on the 3x4 card. I didn't know if I wanted to stamp on this card or just leave it plain, but I decided to stick with the theme, and so I picked out a stamp from one of the Ali Edwards sets, and it says Thankful Thought, which I just thought would work good on this card. And then I, of course, used yellow. It was the only stamp color that I hadn't used yet. And then I think that I called it good. So now I have to decide if I'm just going to stick these down on these cards or I'm going to add some detailing to it. I finally decided that I'll go ahead and just take a pen and draw a couple messy lines around each of those phrases. And so that's what I did here. You'll see that I'm also doing it around my week number. And then I'm going to use some foam adhesive to kind of pop them up just to make them stand out a little bit more. So once I get all of these foam pieces in place, I lay everything out just to make sure that that's what I want to do and I like the look of it, and just take a look at everything before I commit. So I do just that, and I decide that maybe I want to add a little extra, but I was thinking, what could I add to these cards? And I decided that vellum would be perfect because it wouldn't take away from this super simple, sleek design, but it would add another element to my spread. And so I'm just testing it out here before I really commit to it. And it did not take me long to decide that, yeah, that's definitely what I wanted to do. So I'm just going to trim these down so they fit in that little gap above my journaling. Now, you didn't see me do the journaling. I did that off camera, but what I did for that was I just took each of my 3 cards and wrote a story about each of the 3 photos that I have in my week for the spread. Just super simple. I just drew in the lines and then wrote my story. So once I get my vellum cut and I decide to just glue everything down and go for it. Now on the card that has the quote, I decided not to use any vellum. I thought it would just be too much on that card. But I really like how the whole layout kind of turned out. Now, just as an afterthought, I had this metal rim tag on my desk with this ampersand in it. I was going to use it on a different layout and didn't end up using it, but I just thought, oh, that would be perfect on this layout just to add one more little touch of something. And so I just stick this on my collage photo down here, and then I really call this layout done. Now, real quickly, I wanted to show you what else I'm adding to my album that pertains to this week. So St. Patrick's Day fell during these dates, and we did do some fun St. Patrick's Day activities that I wanted to add some of that memorabilia to my album. One of them being these scavenger hunt cards. Now, my daughter loved this. I found this on the internet, printed it out really quick, and it was just super easy to do. And my daughter loved it. She had so much fun, and we played a little game and just different things like that. She had so much fun. But I wanted to save some of those pieces because I knew she would love looking back on those. And after she did the scavenger hunt, she wanted to go put all of the clues back in place and have me do it and then have her dad do it. It was just so cute, and I definitely wanted to capture that. So I held on to those pieces, and I'm just putting them down in this envelope, as you can see. And then I have a photo of her on St. Patrick's Day in her little green outfit that she wore to school. And I didn't want to show it because some of her other school friends are in that photo. And so, but I'm tucking that down in there. And then just to keep with the theme of the week, I just took a little phrase stamp. It was from the Felicity Jane set, and I think it says always an adventure. And I kind of talk about how fun that particular day was. Now, my original plan for this was I was just going to poke some holes in it and just tuck it into my album. I thought the end of this envelope would be a perfect place to kind of poke those holes, but it wasn't big enough. And I thought about maybe poking them on the side, but there wasn't enough room. The things that I put in there went to the very edge, and I didn't want to cut those cards down anymore. So I don't know exactly where I'm going to put this, but what I think I'll do is at the end of my album, I have an envelope, and I'll probably just stuck it in there. You'll see here in a little bit, I do put the date on this envelope just in case it doesn't fall, just in case I don't put it in my album where that week lands. If I put it at the end, I want to know that it was from that date, even though when you open it up, it's pretty obvious it's St. Patrick's Day. But nonetheless, the date's on there, and I call it good. So I wanted to thank you guys so much for watching this today and putting up with my sick, scratchy voice. I feel a whole lot better, but my voice, I just don't think have caught up to it. So I wanted to remind you all, head on over to our Facebook group, show us the projects you're doing. I will put a link to that group along with a link to our blog and our Pinterest and our Instagram. Whatever social media you're on, look us up, and we will see you all soon. Bye-bye.